The lecture for this module will focus on teaching for lifespan development. What is developmental perspective on teaching? First, it means that you as a teacher must acknowledge and explore your own development and the place of teaching in your sense of self. On the next slide, we will view a brief clip that introduces some of the most popular theories of the lifespan.
The purpose of this Headless Professor video is to give you some visual mnemonics for trying to remember some of the many theories of the human lifespan. Let's start with the psychoanalytic theory of Sigmund Freud. What do you have to remember about Freud? It's all sex and unconscious drives, and this is typified by the Oedipus complex. So when you see Freud, sex, unconscious, Oedipus. And of course, the psychoanalytic movement also influenced Erikson. So when you see Erikson, think of 8 stages that are a derivation and an expansion of Freud. And Erikson merely adds more of a social dimension to his 8 stages. Then we have Newgarden, who is very interested in the clock of the lifespan. And the important thing for Newgarden is that when things don't occur at the right time, they become more stressful, more difficult to cope with. Then we have Gilligan, who says the problem with Erikson is he doesn't recognize that girls differ. Erikson's model is essentially a male model. Women have a carefully, slowly broadening circle of concern rather than these distinct stages. Then we come to Piaget, who is giving us cognitive stages of development. And Piaget influenced Kohlberg, who gives us cognitive stages of ethical reasoning. Then we have Vygotsky. And when you think of Vygotsky, think of a skyscraper and the scaffolding you would have to build to construct that skyscraper. Then we have Baltus, who did a longitudinal study, and Bronfenbrenner. Notice all the E's in Bronfenbrenner. E for his ecological theory. Now, with all those mnemonic visual devices, you can remember these theories of the lifespan.
I think here might be a good place to pause and reflect a little bit on the information that you've received in the course, the interactions you've had, the videos that have stimulated your thinking, the reading as well, some of the assignments, and maybe just pause and look at some of these questions and maybe ponder and think through them and answer to the best of your ability. For example, why were you drawn to teaching? What satisfaction do you derive from teaching? How do others in your life see your role as a teacher? This would be good for you to get some feedback and elicit that from your colleagues and people that will speak honestly to you. Has your teaching improved with time? Do you act as a mentor for other teachers? Have you developed knowledge and expertise in your area? Do you feel constrained in the area you teach? I think all these together, maybe combined, we hear that word passion. Are you passionate about teaching? Here we'll look at some common processes that you can use to trigger development as we look at the lifespan development identified among the various theories that we've been exposed to in the video and as we've looked at maybe even in your reading, other scholarly articles you may have come across and interactions you've had with others. But some of the developmental triggers you might consider using in your teaching of adults is to encourage students to attend to and reflect on experience. It's a valuable resource for your adult students. Have peer groups work together on common issues or problems with opportunity for the exchange of ideas. Expose students to situations that create ambiguity or conflict when existing frameworks for understanding are shown to be inadequate with support for resolving the conflict. Recognize student achievements. Place students in situations requiring new responses and actions. Provide students relative freedom from internal and external constraints and anxiety. Encourage them to explore and take risks. As we wrap this session up on teaching for lifespan development, as adult educators, we need to distinguish between education that simply domesticates learners and education that is genuinely developmental. Our ultimate goal as adult teachers should be that our students are changed by the educational experience that they've had in our courses.